Kesang Sam, thank you so much for coming on Unboxed. It's
great pleasure. Good to be here. Nice to see your face again.
I know, it's been a hot minute. So Trippin, your baby, obviously been running it now for a number of years. Can you tell us all about it, how it started, how you got to this point, and everything about it really, please?
Yeah, I mean, Trippin, travel platform, trying to shake up the space a bit.
Shaking it up,
providing something a bit different, I guess. Started like best part of 6 years ago now, which is like really flown by, but it's gone on a couple of different chapters, a different anyone who's like started a business, no, it's not a straight road really. But it was formed from like really a personal pain point from ours of feeling like there wasn't anywhere online that kind of spoke to us in the type of travel that we like to do, where we felt like it was an authentic representation of cultures around the world, and we could really get access into tips that we could trust. And it became like this really engaged space full of like incredible minds who are shaping culture and in the creative industry, I guess. And I think at that point when we started seeing this working without us having to massage it, then that's when we knew we had something special, and we started thinking about what else it could be. How could we offer more value for the community? How could we potentially build a business from this?
And like those Facebook groups are a great place to like find pain points from your community. It's like a petri dish of just like testing out stuff.
Everyone's so open on them, right?
Exactly. And they're just so open to give you the best feedback as well about what you could build. So
I mean, community's always been at the core of everything, right? From the Facebook group to you guys even saying your whole focus was how do you serve that community, however many people that would be, probably even when it was 2 people to now obviously thousands. Why is community so important, and how do you work with, local creators in everything that you do? Because that's obviously a core part of your strategy, right, as a brand.
Yeah, so like community powers everything that Trippin does and everything that we touch. Like we work with local creators in numerous different ways, but the core of it's really to gain like trusted travel recommendations and to cultivate like cultural knowledge. Essentially, like how can we work with local creators on the ground to provide access points into cultural scenes for our audience and the rest of the community? So like to break that down, one of our big formats is guides, travel guides. We only work with locals on them. So we might work with like a DJ for the best nightlife spots, like giving his favorite recommendations in the city alongside like a personal tip. It could be like one of the best chefs emerging in the gastronomy scene, or it could be like more well-known figures like YG's favorite munchie places in Los Angeles or Sean Paul's favorite dispensaries in Jamaica. But working with them to really like build that trusted like cultural narrative, which I think if we really like analyze like travel media and traditional travel media in the past, they've done a really bad job at like really communicating cultural narratives in an authentic way that kind of also mirrors how Gen Z and like our audience want to consume culture. Gen Z don't really want someone, or our audience don't really want a narrative that comes from like a voyeuristic lens, someone from the global north, like analyzing a culture. And so what we do is like always partnering with those local creators to build up those narratives. Or it could be more like in-depth, like travel information, like similar to like traditional travel guidebooks, but with a really progressive lens. So like you could be covering like cultural history, for example, but looking at it from like not a lens that like maybe has a more like colonial narrative in it. And so unpacking those is really important, especially for certain destinations in our community that might be in the global south, which have had their cultural narratives distorted purely because of that reason. And then like working with them across like a variety of everything. We're like a 360 platform. So like podcasts, event experiences, social first content. The list goes on, like films. Like,
because you're so right, because there aren't that many. I guess on a more sort of platform level, like a TripAdvisor sort of done that to a degree, to a very small degree in terms of it being community, well, people first, right? People reviewing things, actually sharing their tips and whatnot, right? And there's clearly something massive there, but no one's really done that in a Gen Z way. No one's done that in a curated way. No one's done that with any kind of editorial thinking as well, but really giving it to the people and saying, you dictate this platform, we're almost here to provide you the space to do so, right?
I think fundamentally in travel, like that's been the problem, is that it is a voyeuristic view on cultures and places around the world, and everyone wants like the insider tip, the authentic perspective. So quickly made a lot of sense for us in terms of like our editorial output.
For us as well, it's like, how can you like, when we look at like travel, like part of our mission is to like help you travel more consciously and make more conscious moves when you're traveling. And so it's like looking at not only like the environmental impacts of you as a traveler, but looking at like how you're supporting like local businesses, how are you like having like a social cultural like exchange, which is positive. So like how are you respecting those cultural narratives? And like, honestly, like we use the analogy sometimes, it's like going to someone's house for dinner. Like you're not going to just pull up there and just be like really rude and like outrageously like kind of loud. You might take a little gift with you, like a bottle of wine. Like it's kind of thinking about it like in that kind of exchange, which is the kind of travel we really want to promote at Trippin. And you might leave with a little goodie bag, of foods. And that's, you know, that's the way we think of it. Like the reason why we call Trippin is because of its transformative power, like the intrinsic growth that, I don't know, that really kind of deepens your character by learning about other people's like realities. It should give you a little bit of insight into who you are and how your place in the world. Because it's quite nuanced and
for sure,
very unleveled.
For sure. And how do you balance, I guess, building communities while scaling, right? Because you've been doing this for so long. How do you almost ensure that as you guys grow, you naturally become more kind of corporate and there's more structures in place and everything else? How do you make sure that communities are still a part of that? Because you've done it so effectively. I think I've known you for so long, right? Both of you guys now. And you've always said the same thing. It's been such a core mission that it's about the community. It's about the community. So how do you make sure that actually follows through in that process?
Yeah, I think it's something we're hyper aware of as well. It's like as we are growing, like that change is internally, starting out as a Facebook group, which is housed like for the community, and then creating an app which is designed for them to interact with each other, and now being more of a curated platform where ultimately like the interaction is a bit more behind the scenes. It's a bit more of a they're powering our move, and we're really passionate about creating spaces going forward for there to be more community interaction, whether that be IRL or URL. Like, you know, we think of Trippin as more than just like a digital platform. It's a brand and it's a lifestyle, and you know, we try and show up in many different ways, and we'll bring the community together through events and experiences, such as we've done like photography exhibitions showing travel photography in Mexico City, or we did like a party at Glastonbury last year, bringing like sounds from around the world, from the African diaspora and South Asian diaspora. And community can also, like, we feel, you know, the importance of getting people together in the real world, and then thinking about it in the future around like what are our digital platforms that we use or that we create in order to grow that community and to ensure that they can collaborate with each other and have that real kind of sense of ownership in what we're up to.
Yeah, it's interesting what you say about things becoming maybe a bit more physical. I think post-pandemic, and also just maybe people are just a bit drained by just how digital everything is. I think we, for example, everything we're doing, it's the same thing. We are trying to move way more into the physical space, and almost the digital side becomes your like marketing or platform to get into the real world. But it's almost the real world still should be in a lot of ways primary. It's more that it's a means to an end, having these platforms.
Definitely.
I think that's what you guys are saying.
And that's where you like uncover the beauty of just like human interaction with each other and connection. You can just actually,
it's not just numbers on a screen then, right?
Exactly. Actually, that's one of our core values at Trippin, is like get out and explore the world. I mean, we're like a travel platform ultimately, and that we know the power of that.
Put your phone on flight mode.
Put your phone on flight mode, get away from the digital space, and like go and have those connections and interactions with people. So we also feel it's on us to try and facilitate that.
Yeah. And where do you guys spot, obviously you've built communities now on a number of different platforms. I mean, sort of one community that you've cultivated through the years, but what opportunities are there for creators or individuals looking to build their own publishers or editorial platforms? What opportunities are there now to build community online?
I think there's a lot of opportunity. I think it's really just about thinking like community in my opinion, I think it's really centers down to the why, like what's the inner purpose that's bringing all these people together? Like what are the shared sensibilities and the values? And I think that is the driving force of like what centers most communities that are active and engaged, because it's bigger than just the brand or the product or whatever it is. It's like a deeper, it resonates and it grows and it's progressive and it's fluid, I think, at the same time too. So yeah, I think it's the why that is the most important thing.
When you know that, like what the why is, like what's binding your community together, then I feel like that's where you can probably identify like those opportunities for you in the best possible way. Like say in the music industry, they're seeing like incredible movement within Reddit and Discord, where like songs that are become viral are actually like that virality and that buzz around that tune is actually starting on Discord or on Reddit. Like, I don't know if you saw that meme around, it's quite jokes, but with the Hudson Mohawk tune about like someone with their sex playlist, how their girlfriend like eventually owned up that they didn't fuck with it, and they needed to like switch up the tunes that they were playing with, and he was just like, I can't remember how he said it, but he's like, I don't know why, like, I think this tune bangs, yeah. And it's like a Hudson Mohawk tune. And basically everyone turned this like into this, like, it was a huge topic of conversation on Reddit, right? And like the community there, the dance music community really bound and started like just engaging with it. And then suddenly, like, once it had that buzz, it moved over to TikTok and then it went to new heights, right? And now that Hudson Mohawk tune started charting. And so obviously, like, that's like one example, but I think there's these like designated homes for engagement in a new way that really combine people together.
Yeah, I love that. I think, something around people maybe focus not too much, but often on the big platforms, the big numbers, the virality, when actually a lot of that comes from sentiment and conversation that happens in smaller localized platforms and community, like especially like Discord, Telegram. Like there's so many of these now where people are sort of pulling themselves into smaller spaces, which actually feed those bigger beasts, if you will, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure. So let's go a bit forward now to All Corners, which is obviously an amazingly exciting movement for you guys. With your business, the commercial model is something which I'm not sure many people at home will know about unless you're in the industry. I definitely didn't before I was in the editorial and publishing space, especially, right? Can you talk us a bit about how you guys make money? What's the commercial model? And then how that led to you creating All Corners as like the next evolution of that, just for people who don't know.
We partner with brands, basically, in a number of different ways. But essentially, brands come to us and see us as a new avenue to speak to a desirable audience. And they want to tap into our creativity, into our storytelling, into our creative directions.
We're quite like particular about what brands we work with as well. They've really got to reflect like our values, and our community and audience will pull us up if we work with, like, not that we'd want to anyway, but like it's not always it's not money makers all the time. It's got to really make sense.
Yeah. So I guess we were doing a lot of these partnerships with the likes of like Nike and Adidas and Tommy Hilfiger, Versace, like people mostly within like fashion and youth culture spaces. So I guess from like working with these brands, we were having more conversations on a strategic level with them and like helping them like unpack some of their challenges, and kind of fell into this kind of like consultancy role with a couple of partners. And it felt like the right next move to like formalize that and to build up almost like a sister company, which now goes under the guise of All Corners. We wanted to make sure we approached this in the best possible way. So we built out an advisory board full of like senior leaders of people that we respected. And one person that we approached was a guy called Ian Richardson, who
very well.
You know very well.
Yep.
And he was in a consultancy role now, doing little bits with multitude of partners. And we started speaking about him helping us and advising us to think about All Corners. We started speaking with Ian around what this consultancy could look like, what's the direction of it, what's our services, what's our longer term strategy. And we're going on a journey and just, to be honest, getting really excited about the future. And fast forward a few months, Ian's in at the helm of All Corners.
So I remember when that happened, I was just like, "There's no one better." Because like Ian went, so he first time me when I was 17. 17 at Vice,
crazy.
when he was running Virtue, did work experience. But he was the one who was like, "Yeah, come in, work experience." Did that song with him. He then hired me and then brought me with him to Lab Bible. So we've just been all on that journey, right? And just knowing how effective he is at being able to blend the world of brands with the world of culture, having done it so many times and set up similar structures, right, for Vice, for Lab Bible in terms of that kind of in-house creative agency model. But then for you guys adding in that next level of kind of cultural expertise and design and creative direction, all these extra things which only you guys do, which make this point of difference, which is so exciting in a space which has never had this before. It's just the coolest thing ever, basically.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it.
one of the big things for you guys is obviously inclusivity, right, across everything you do. And again, that piece of representation for communities. With working with brands in which some of them will be better than others, right? And a lot of them aren't probably very good at all. And you guys know that, and you'll be able to clearly suss out when things can be better. Like, how do you work with your partners to ensure that they are like doing the best they can for that? And what would be your advice ultimately to brands out there to do better in terms of inclusivity?
It's good over profit. It's purpose over profit, I think, for us. And that's like what really, with anything that we do, it's like, what is the impact and how are we empowering creators to actually it's a creator economy, so they can go out there and do that on their own. But I think it's like with us, it's like if we're working on a project and there's a cultural narrative, especially with Trippin, we've got a responsibility of like really protecting those cultural narratives as well and making sure they're delivered in the most authentic way to the people that we're working with. And so it's putting them at the forefront of everything. And we do that through, All Corners does that from insights all the way down to execution. And I think that's a really important way of working with brands, is actually getting in behind the brief that comes to the creator. It's like, what are those decision makes?
Ultimately, brands need to put their money where their mouth is, and they need to invest. They need to provide infrastructure. They need to provide opportunities, and often that is monetary based, or at least that's like the real opportunity for more diverse creators that simply don't have those opportunities before. And also, I think a brand needs to recognize like what are their values and what are their roots, and not just be purpose washing, because then it's very transparent. You know, it's like you can't, just because you're seeing this movement, like you really need to like dig deeper into like how you operate as a company, instead of just trying to throw some money at things. So it's both, right? It's like investing, but also like looking more internally as well around like how you operate. Yeah.
So I want to just dial back a tiny bit to randomly the advisory board.
Yeah.
Because obviously that, I think, was so transformational for you guys just from the outside, right? And obviously when we talked, so much came from that. How important do you think it is to have mentors around you as people who are, driving through in the sort of social and creator economy? Like, how important is mentorship, seeking advice, taking, or also building structures that help sort of get that advice into your business? How key is that?
For me personally, like, I've never worked for anyone. I founded my own company with like Sam and Yasmin. And so for me, I've always like actually craved industry knowledge that I've never had to gain from working underneath someone and maybe learning what not to do or learning what to do. But I do think there's a lot of insight that as you get from someone that's never worked in an industry. And I think that's beautiful insight. And so anyone that is entering a new industry, I think there's power in that from a new perspective. But also you can learn a lot from people and players in the game who've done incredible things. So for us and throughout our journeys, our career journeys, like we've always had mentors for every different stage, like people around the investment raising area, people that can like help us from a mentorship and management perspective. Like, it's really important. But I do think the needs of wanting a mentor always change.
It needs to be like, you need to be aware that like a mentor may not be right for you at every step of the way. You might need different types of advice, and sometimes it might not even necessarily be
the right advice.
Well, yeah, that was good. That was actually what I was thinking when you were saying that, is like also you need to learn to have this internal compass, is that like ultimately like you can look to other people and like get advice based off their experience.
But trust your gut.
But you need to trust your gut, have your intuition, and you're probably trying to do something that hasn't been done before. And so therefore, like no matter how much advice you get, like people don't necessarily know until it's been done. 100%. So I'd say like that intuition is really important.
Mentors are sick though, because like they open doors. Like they really open doors. Like, so like if you're going for advice for someone, like if they really fuck with what you're building, they're going to open that door and they're going to make those introductions for you. I think even as founders ourselves, like it's kind of, we've seen like the full circle thing go back, and we've got younger people like hitting up us, like asking for like advice on how to make the next moves and turning their collective into a business model or something along those lines. And so it's something that we've always had to, as much as doors have opened for us, we open the doors back, and it's like a nice like cycle of it.
Pay it forward.
Yeah, pay it forward.
I feel like mentor like comes with like a lot of stigma or commitment in some ways, and actually like a mentorship doesn't necessarily have to be like a marriage. And I feel like maybe that's how some people view it. And actually like it could just be like a great conversation with someone that you rate. I think the best type of relationships are where there's a good value exchange, and like the mentee is like giving something back in some ways by just like giving new schools of thoughts or perspectives, and then
more
like,
of a dialogue.
it's a dialogue and becomes like a friendship of like two minds like sharing like concerns and sharing challenges and like thoughts and views of the world and their work or what they're trying to achieve.
Yeah, don't be afraid though to just hit up some of the people that you really respect. Like look for the best platforms out there, the brands you really rate in the industry, and find the people behind them. Go do some LinkedIn digging.
That's what I was going to ask, right? I mean, LinkedIn's it's great, right? But for a creative, behind the scenes, in front of the camera, wherever they might be, what's your advice tangibly to them to find that mentorship and support?
I mean, I think there's so much online, whether it is LinkedIn. Like, I mean, I didn't know Ian, for example. I just like started digging.
Did you slide in the DMs?
Yeah, I slid in Ian's DMs.
Very good.
Actually, it was Stephen Mai before, who was the CMO of Boiler Room and Lab Bible, and I just kind of come across him on LinkedIn. But I think ultimately it's like looking at these like platforms that you rate, or like people that are doing similar things that are just like further down the journey, and then trying to do a bit of digging as to like who are the minds behind it, and just hit them up, slide into DMs, and you'll probably get ed from a couple of people, like, or it might not be what you expect, but then like when it's meant to be, like you'll probably have a really good chat, and then it could go from there. And that's what happened with Stephen, and then how we met Ian, and how we met Damaris. It's like, all kind of like evolved from there.
The one thing I would say though is that like the advisory board is slightly different. That is a bit more of a marriage.
When they're getting like shares and equity or whatnot.
That is obviously that, but like we didn't have that until last year, and we've been doing it for a number of years.
And you said you work with you've had lots of mentors, whether it's a light touch mentorship or a more formalized mentorship over that time.
Mentors for different things as well. Like when you're creating your own company and platform, like there's so many different facets to like think about, and so there's people that are skilled in one particular vertical that might not cross over to everything. So I think it's having a nice holistic range of people that you can tap into, and trust as well. I think trust is a big one.
100%. Where do you see the future of the creative economy? Obviously you guys have such a visibility around the world, right? It's a big question, but what are your sort of trends that you're seeing? Where do you think things are going?
I would say Web3 is like a really exciting space. You know, it's about like co-ownership. It's about like
having more autonomy.
Yeah, more autonomy to create your own rules. I would say like from community aspects, like there's opportunities for funding and for revenue, and I think just a more ecosystem that's actually designed for uplifting, empowering communities, and like I said, like shared ownership as well.
It's so much more immersive, I think, which is exciting too.
Yeah, cool. And then finally, who is a creator or a number of creators that you are enjoying at the minute?
Good question.
I love creators that have like a multi-channel network, but there are some that really kind of own particular platforms that I absolutely love. I think Michaela Locke is a really great creator in like the Instagram space and that platform. So she's like an eco-activist that really kind of like makes, I guess, conversations around how we can make, I guess, fight our climate crisis happening more accessible to Black and brown communities and minorities, and takes away, I guess, the whitewashing in that space. So I really like her. And then on TikTok, I absolutely love...
On TikTok, yeah.
Rockman Brent, I think that's his name, but he's wicked. He does this thing where he's like, I'm going to sing it. He goes, what's inside that rock? And then he just takes a hammer and opens up a rock, and then there's fossils and shit in it. But I love it because like you can have like the smallest niche ever and still be so entertaining, and I think that's wicked. It's
and there's rocks everywhere, so he's never going to stop.
Yeah, he's never going to stop.
It's never going to stop or end, but I think that's it. I'm really into the niche creators actually when it comes to those kind of platforms. I think even cleaning a pool or a carpet is exciting.
It is.
It's amazing what content can do.
100%.
For me, I mean, I'm excited by Taste Cadets at the moment. Like these are three friends that are traveling and trying the best food, and they're food lovers, and they just like keep it very real.
I wonder how they're going to build that, because I feel like they seem to love it, like just following voraciously. Like they seem to really love it, right? Like that can actually become, and I think it will probably become such a core of their. For those who don't know as well, these are the boys from Corrupt Affair, right?
Exactly,
so it feels like that's becoming quite a centerpiece for their world in a way.
I mean, yeah, they're busy human beings. Like Sipa is doing like a lot of TV shows and stuff, and like taking off in the acting career. But like Taste Cadets is like a passion, and like we're actually talking to them about potential ways of working and stuff. But I know they have big visions to take their Taste Cadets in a much bigger way to the world. So I reckon they're ones to watch.
What is the vision for Trippin going forward and for All Corners? Like, where are you guys taking it? What's the next step? What's coming?
Sky's the limit, baby.
Sky's the limit. That's it.
I guess like on Trippin side, it's like kind of like 3 strategic goals. Is like invest in high quality content, making the best in class content across the board. Like use. Number 2 would be like to use tech to help people travel more consciously. Like we actually do want to start bringing in more technology and better tools to further our mission. It's kind of where we all started, but now we're a bit more grounded.
You're ready now.
We feel like in a different position to do that. And 3, grow our community and ensure that we're actually giving back and we're inputting into them globally. Like ultimately right now we do have more of a skew with, the UK, Western Europe, North America and Mexico. Like these are our like main kind of markets. Although we're creating content and collaborating with people across the world, that's mostly where we've got true engagement. And so, we want to expand that and make sure that it's a real global representation.
Yeah, be accessible to everyone from different languages and all that jazz.
Love it. Guys, thank you so much.
Thank you,
Jordan. Appreciate it.